I was blown away reading the story of a Japanese soldier in the Pacific in World War II. His name is Hiroo Onoda, and I want to tell you briefly his story, and there's a lot of complexity to it, so I want to read a little bit of his story for you. On December 26, 1944, Hiroo Onoda was sent to Lubang Island in the Philippines. He was ordered to do all he could to hamper enemy attacks on the island, including destroying the airstrip and the pier in the harbor. His orders also stated that under no circumstances was he to surrender or take his life. He landed on February 28, 1945, and within a short period of time, all but 3 other soldiers had either died or surrendered. So Onoda, who'd been promoted to lieutenant, ordered the men to take to the hills. Onoda continued his campaign as a Japanese holdout, initially living in the mountains with 3 fellow soldiers. During his stay, Onoda and his companions carried out guerrilla activities and engaged in several shootouts with police. The first time they saw a leaflet announcing that Japan had surrendered was October 1945. Another cell had killed a cow and found a leaflet left behind by islanders which read, "The war ended on August 15th. Come down from the mountains." However, key phrase, they distrusted the leaflet. They concluded that the leaflet was a scheme of Allied propaganda, and they also believed that they would not have been fired on had the war indeed been over. Toward the end of 1945, leaflets were dropped by air with a surrender order printed on them from General Yamashita of the 14th Area Army. They had been in hiding for over a year, and this leaflet was the only evidence that they had that the war was over. Onoda's group looked very closely at the leaflet to determine whether it was genuine, but the 3 soldiers and Onoda concluded that this was a trick. Skirmishes took place, and the other 3 soldiers over time were killed. Onoda was left alone. Then, on February 20th, 1974, Onoda met a Japanese man named Noriko Suzuki who was traveling around the world looking for, quote, and I just telling you the story, looking for, quote, Lieutenant Onoda, a wild panda, and the abominable snowman in that order, end quote. Suzuki found Onoda after 4 days of searching. Onoda and Suzuki became friends, but Onoda still refused to surrender, saying he was waiting for orders from a superior officer. Suzuki then returned to Japan with photographs of himself and Onoda as proof of their encounter, and the Japanese government located Onoda's commanding officer, Major Yoshimi Tamaguchi, who had since become a bookseller. So they go to Barnes & Noble. They get this guy, Taniguchi, and they say, you got to go back to the Philippines. He flew to Lubang, where on March the 9th, 1974, he finally met with Onoda and fulfilled the promise he made in 1944, quote, whatever happens, we'll come back for you, end quote. Onoda was thus properly relieved of duty, and he surrendered. He turned over his sword, his rifle, his 500 rounds of ammunition, and several hand grenades, as well as a dagger his mother had given him in 1944 to kill himself with if he was ever captured.